the first ballot proposition would essentially enshrine abortion rights into New York's Constitution. It's been a contentious issue here if folks vote to give the mayor of New York City more power or less power.
All right, Laura Tamman, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here and help kind of break it all down. A lot of races on the ballot, and I know most people are paying close attention to the presidential race, but we have these congressional races as well. Anything else you want to add here before I let you go?
I just hope everyone gets the chance to go out and vote today and be a part of the process, and even volunteer as a poll checker or a poll worker at this election or future ones, because our democracy only works if we all participate and help take care of it.
All right, Laura Tamman there, political science professor over at Pace University. Thank you again for taking the time to be here with us today. We appreciate it.
You're welcome, anytime.
And I do want to take you to just one of our many maps we're going to show you all throughout the day. As we know, there are 7 states that are considered to be battleground states this election day. We're talking Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. All of those highlighted right there on the map. And polls did open this hour in Arizona, Arkansas, Iowa, Minnesota, Mississippi, Oklahoma, North Dakota, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, and Wisconsin. Again, a lot of states. You're going to hear all about this all throughout the day. Do want to take you out to some of the live images that we do have popping up from those polling centers here. This is a live look over at Springfield, Ohio. And we also have this shot. Could see a reporter kind of pop up there. So if we see him, we'll kind of go to another area. But this here is an election site. This is over at the Houston Toyota Center over in Houston, Texas. Also got this image coming in here, and this appears to be over in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. That is going to be a big pivotal county there in the swing state of Pennsylvania, possibly the one being watched the closest. 8:17 on the East Coast and 5:17 on the West Coast. Going to head to our first 2-minute commercial break of the hour. On the other side, we'll check back in with our different Fox affiliates for a look at some of your headlines here as they're following their races very closely. You're watching Live Now from Fox. We'll be right back. Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox, 8:19 on the East Coast and 5:19 on the West Coast. Want to take you out to this video from a bit earlier on this morning as a small town in New Hampshire keeping up that tradition overnight. Now, the handful of people who live in Dixville Notch cast their ballots as the clock struck midnight local time. The township home to only 13 people, with only 6 people registered there to vote. So they cast their ballots. You can see it in the ballot box there. Now we know that each candidate earned half the vote, with 3 votes for Trump and 3 votes for Harris. All right, I do want to check in a battleground state right now with our Fox team, as they do have an array of reporters out gathering all of the latest.
Already cast their ballots. Millions more will join the ranks and wait in lines likely outside of polling centers as Americans flex their civic muscles to elect a new president.
We're going to have the American dream back soon. Together, we will begin the 4 greatest years in the history of our country, and we will launch the most extraordinary economic boom the world has ever seen.
And we have an opportunity in this election to finally turn the page on a decade of politics that has been driven by fear and division. We are done with that. We're done.
And this presidential race will be decided by 7 battleground states, one of which is Georgia. And that's why we have been bombarded with campaign ads and candidate visits. And Good Day's Mark Teichner kicks off our You Decide 2024 team coverage live from a Fulton County polling precinct. Mark, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. The belle of the ball we've been for the last couple of months, and now we're going to see if all of that campaign advertising and visits will pay off, and if so, for which party. We are here at Park Tavern polling precinct in Midtown, and when we saw them open the doors a little over an hour ago, there was about 20, 30 folks waiting in line to cast their ballots. They've been able to get in and out fairly quickly, and we've seen a steady flow going in, but certainly no kind of long lines that are going to cause folks to be dissuaded from coming out and making their voice heard, at least not at this particular location. Now, as we know, a lot of folks were encouraged by both parties to try to come out and take advantage of early voting. We saw record early voting numbers, more than 4 million ballots cast when you include the early voting advanced, in person, and the absentee. So we decided to ask some of these folks about why they decided to wait until Election Day.
And in some ways, I think since 2020, it has become a little harder to vote. I mean, we couldn't get an absentee ballot because they don't send them out until October 7th. Well, we left on October 10th, so we wouldn't even have gotten it. And we didn't come back until November 2nd, which was after early voting.
Yeah, another voter told us that the reason they decided to vote on Election Day is it's a tradition, and they feel more like it's a part of the excitement that comes along with all of this. The good news with all of those early voting numbers is that hopefully the lines are going to be a lot shorter than we have seen in previous years. Now, coming up in the next half hour, you're going to hear from another voter about why they're coming out and what they're hoping to accomplish, and whether they think we're going to be able to put all of this sort of division behind us when this is all said and done. Reporting live from Midtown, I'm Mark Teichner for Good Day Atlanta.
All right, we will check back in with you then, Mark. Thank you. Well, now in Cobb County, thousands of voters who received absentee ballots late will not get an extension to return them.
Good Day's Brooke Zahner is live at the Cobb County Civic Center with more on what a stayed state Supreme Court decision means. Brooke.
Yeah, well, this is definitely a big impact for thousands of voters here in Cobb County. We're told about 3,400 absentee ballot requests were late, according to county election officials, and this all got brought into the court system, and that ruling came down from the Georgia Supreme Court. But Cobb County election leaders blame a surge in last-minute absentee ballot requests and equipment failures as part of the reason for that delay. So the order that just came down only addresses a motion for a stay. That means a final ruling has not yet been made in this case. But for the time being, Cobb County election officials may only count absentee ballots that are received by 7 p.m. tonight. And we talked to a voter this morning who requested an absentee ballot and never got that ballot.
I went online and I requested a ballot. A few weeks, something was mailed to me, but it ended up not being the actual ballot. It ended up being another request for the ballot. So I just found out a few days ago that I couldn't do an absentee ballot.
Now, fortunately for her, she noticed in time and was able to make plans and adjustments to come to her polling precinct on Election Day. And that is what election workers encourage you to do if you want to make sure that that vote is counted, that you cancel your absentee ballot and you go to your polling precinct. Or alternatively, if you have the absentee ballot, you can also turn that in directly to your county election office. That's the latest here live in Cobb County. I'm Brooks Honor for Good Day Atlanta.
Okay, Brooke, thanks for explaining that for us. We're also keeping watch of other elections on the ballot, including the race for the state legislature. All 56 Senate and 180 House seats are on the ballot. We're also watching congressional elections. Races for the House and Senate will determine which party holds the majority and several tax measures. Now, don't forget to join Fox 5 Atlanta for complete election coverage. It starts this afternoon at
All right, and we have complete election coverage right here on Live Now from Fox. My name is Josh Breslow, and I'm here for the next several hours to bring you all of your top stories and live events. And no question, we are going to be focused around the clock here on the election. Want to pop this up for you and let you know that our real primetime coverage will start tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll have Andrew Kraft, Austin Westfall, the whole team here to bring you those results the second they come in. You will be the first to know, and I know you have a lot of options tonight, but I can promise you, Live Now from Fox will be the best one. Taking a live look right here over in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, as folks are lined up here on Election Day. The polls are open and they are ready to vote. Now, this is, of course, a swing state, but Bucks County very important to both candidates as they do try to win the pivotal swing state of Pennsylvania. Do want to head to a quick break here at 8:26 on the East Coast and 5:26 on the West Coast. You're watching Live Now from Fox. We'll be right back. Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox. The time 8:29 on the East Coast and 5:29 on the West Coast. Do want to take a live look here at one of our many live cameras inside voting poll locations. I was trying to see, it looks like that guy has a very large ballot there. You are looking over in Brooklyn, New York. This is, again, just one of the many shots that we do have across the country. We'll be taking a look at these different cameras all throughout the day. Want to pop up this map for you. Take a look right here as people in 4 states will vote on the future of marijuana legislation today. Florida, Nebraska, North Dakota, and South Dakota will have marijuana on the ballot. Now, former President Trump has said that he supports Florida's legalization of marijuana and that if elected, he will work with Congress to, quote, pass common sense laws regarding marijuana. Vice President Harris has said that she feels, quote, we need to legalize marijuana and stop criminalizing the behavior. And in Massachusetts, medical and recreational marijuana is already legal, but voters will decide whether to decriminalize the personal use of psychedelic substances, which, by the way, are already legal in Oregon and Colorado. A lot to discuss, no question, so I do want to bring in Heather Trella, the Director of Operations and Fellow at the Rockefeller Institute of Government. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us and help us break it all down.
Happy to be here.
All right, so first off, the big question, are we talking about the same initiative essentially in all 4 states, or how do they really differ?
Well, in Florida, North Dakota, and South Dakota, we're talking about legalizing recreational or adult use marijuana. And in Nebraska, we're talking about legalizing medical marijuana. So that's one key difference. Nebraska also split their initiatives into 2. So their voters are actually looking at 2 initiatives, one to permit medical marijuana usage and another to create a way to commercialize and sell medical marijuana. Otherwise, they're fairly similar. The recreational states are mostly all 21 and older. Some have home grow, some do not, but nothing dramatically different.
Speaking kind of broadly right here, when you talk about the 2 different parties, obviously Republicans and Democrats, as of right now, as of today, is there one party that still remains pro-marijuana and one that is anti-marijuana? And has that changed kind of over the years and decades?
Yeah, I break that into 2 groups. Among voters, it is a mostly bipartisan issue. I think we're hovering at about 76% of Americans approve of legalization. Some generational differences. Where you see the more partisan differences is in elected officials. Republicans do tend to be a little bit more apprehensive or obstructionist for passing marijuana legalization. You know, federal, state, there are obviously exceptions to that rule, but in general, in states where legalization efforts have failed at the state level through the legislative process, it has been Republican legislators that have blocked it.
And you are taking a look once again at the map. We're talking about those 4 states, Florida, Nebraska, South Dakota, and North Dakota. Do we know at this point how this could go in those states with marijuana on the ballot? Do we have kind of an early indicator?
Yeah, looking at polling, Nebraska is probably the most likely